Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread! Cornbread! Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Detroit Koolaid listeners, Detroit Koolaid listeners, hey, it is your boy at Chops in the D. And listen, we have a special treat for you today because we are going to start the preseason Lions the same way we ended the Lions, and that is with a show hosted by me at Chops in the D. Our boy Derek Oakery is on a little break, much deserved, much needed, taking the week off. And look, I think he's just getting ready to drink in a whole bunch of Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid, pound a whole bunch of cornbread, and just get himself ready for this Lion season because we are back. Football is officially back. We had the Hall of Fame game last Thursday to kick off the preseason. Woo! So much to talk about, so many good things to dive into today. So like we like to say, I'm not going to mess around. Let's get into it. So like I said, football is back. We had a real live game on Thursday. We're not going to mention that it was with the team that the smuggest of the smug plays for, much like our last game of the season, which we dove into. But now this is with his new team at the Jets. The Jets took on the Browns. It was nice to see some guys in pads on the gridiron playing some football. It was just a great way to kick off the coming into the fall season and getting ready for some live football. And it's so nice to see the young cats out there. We got to see a rookie QB out there with my boy DTR. And, of course, we got to see the former Lion, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Tim Boyle, out there doing Tim Boyle things, i.e. nothing. But yeah, so the score means nothing, but it was good to see players out there and kicking off the NFL season out on the gridiron. So everybody drink that in. Let's move on to some news and notes for our Lions. Let's get into the Lions, baby, and the big news of the day, of the last 24 hours, is signing Teddy Bridgewater. I believe that my co-host Derek Oakery refers to him as Teddy Two Gloves. But hey, listen, this makes so much sense on so many levels for me. I am very, very happy that they signed a veteran quarterback who knows the game. He knows what he's doing. He can come in and win some games. And this signing, there's so much to break down on this. My first thought is this signing tells me that the Lions feel like they have a legit chance and that the backup quarterback position was just a glaring need. I think we know what we have in Nate Sudfeld, and is anybody really happy with that? I know I'm not. I know that in my boy H2O, Hendon Hooker, is the potentially going to be the quarterback of the future, or at least a big part of this team going forward, but he's coming into the season hurt. So the Lions realize, the brass, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, realize that this team is legit. And if, God forbid, something happens to Jared Goff, they don't want to use that as an excuse for not winning games. So getting this player to sign, I know we do not have the confirmed terms yet. I believe it is confirmed that it is a one-year deal. It makes total sense. You're bringing in a 31-year-old quarterback who has a completion percentage of 66% in his career, thrown for over 15,000 yards, over 75 touchdowns. He's got a great QB rating. Yes, he's got some ups. Yes, he's got some downs. No, I don't want him as my starter, but I am confident in this guy. This season, if Jared Goff goes down to an injury and I need to win a game, Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater can do that for me. So smart move by the man, Brad Holmes, to do this. Smart move to just get it done. I will say, though, I really, really, really wish this would have happened earlier in training camp. I would have been happy with getting this guy on board early on so that he could be there to learn the system, to be repping with the team one, repping with team two, getting that time, building a rapport. So I'm a little bummed that it took this long to get this guy signed. It's been rumor and innuendo for a while, but hey, it's happened. He's got some time to learn the playbook. I'm sure we will get to see him in an upcoming game very soon. Maybe not Thursday, but I think the Lions saw what they had in Nate Sudfeld. They didn't like it. They realized this guy is not going to win us a game. If we need to come from behind, if Goff has to miss some time, it's not happening with Nate Sudfeld. So, but it can happen with Teddy Bridgewater, and I'm all for it. So. Absolutely love to have this guy. The quarterback position is one spot where we were lacking depth. We love our depth everywhere else, and it just made sense. So, I threw a couple stats out there. I don't want to go into a whole big deep dive of what he did with the Saints and what he did with this and what he did with that. Like, he's just a solid veteran guy and he's a leader as well. So, I hear he's already talking, with the wide receivers. People are excited what he's going to do for this offense. He's going to learn. We've got a lot of weapons. Everyone knows that. With the running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the best O-line in football. But this guy's going to be able to come in and he's going to be able to win us games if he needs to, if push comes to shove. So great signing by the Lions, in my humble opinion. Another very noteworthy thing to talk about here regarding our Detroit Lions. Look, Dan freaking Campbell is not going to be allowed to have a Lion on the sidelines this upcoming season. And this is where if I had my sound effect guy, I would hear the bum, 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 bum. But even though we can't have a Lion on the sideline, what we do get, folks, we get a Barry Sanders statue at Ford Field. How freaking awesome is that? I am so happy that they announced this, the Hall of Fame statue for Barry Sanders up at Ford Field. Very, very proud that they're honoring this particular guy and not some other bumski who we don't like to talk about, the wide receiver that you all know how me and Derek feel about. But this guy, Barry Sanders, is the man. So happy that he's going to have his statue at Ford Field. Just a great thing to happen for all the people. So when you make your way down to Ford Field, maybe this Thursday when you're going to see the preseason game against the Giants, scope out that area. Check it out where it's going to be. It's going to be really cool to see the Barry Sanders statue out there. Hey, other big thing happening this week is the joint practices with the Giants. I'm hearing lots of great things from all the sideline reporters. I know the Lions official media is not allowed to tweet with the shared practices or share things unless it's some kind of injury. But man, lots of people there sending lots of videos, lots of clips. A lot of positive feedback. Everything that I'm hearing is that we just dominated the day. Now that may be that some people are, drinking in that Kool-Aid a little too much. But I'm here for it because, I got to see a clip of a nice little one-handed grab by, Amon-Ra. I hear that Gibbs had 2 red zone touchdowns today. I think there was a flag on one, but the guy's flying everywhere. So the offense is buzzing. Jared Goff is commanding these weapons. The O-line is dominating. And the Giants defense, I heard today, just had no answer for Jared Goff and our Detroit Lions offense. Drink that in, everybody. And the big question mark really coming in was, how is this revamped defense going to perform against another NFL team, right? And guys, they crushed it. Everything that, again, all these clips I'm seeing, Aiden Hutchinson, 2 sacks, Kirby Joseph with lots of pass defenses, James Houston with an absolute ridiculous tackle for a loss. If you haven't seen that, look it up. And cornerback Starling Thomas with a nice little interception and making some great plays out there too. So this defense that we have revamped in the offseason is looking good. It is ready to go. which is what we want to hear and what we want to see. I heard that the defense absolutely dominated the red zone drill, where the Giants get to start off on the 15-yard line. There would have been multiple turnover on downs, potential sack here and there. They couldn't put the ball into the end zone against our offense or against our defense in the red zone, which is something that we really struggled with last year. And I heard they shut down quads. They did not let Daniel Jones had an awful day passing today. To the point where he even had to address it with the media afterwards. Like he did not look good out there today. So he knows he's got to get better. But I don't necessarily think that's all Daniel Jones. I think that's this defense. People, this defense is legit. Okay, they shut them down. They did not let and this again. I saw this clip on the red zone. The red zone defense they played, and they came off the field, they were celebrating, they were cheering, they were jawing. CJ, that's my GJ, was talking some mad smack, maybe to some former Lion, ayo. But dude, it's just so great to see. They get to see our players out on the field against other NFL players, not the same guys they've been going up against in training camp, but actually from other teams, and it's just so great to hear. So. A couple of things that I'm really looking forward to as this week progresses with these shared practices with the Giants is how do those fringe players look, right? Like who stands out, who maybe makes a name for themselves, lots of buzz around some of these players, out and about, but who's going to stand out? Who's going to make their roster, right? I think that Dan Campbell came out and said that they are really going to look into and evaluate and use these shared practices to determine who makes the cut. You're at a big roster size now. I think it's 84, and they're going to have to get that down to 53. And yes, there's going to be some guys that go on the injury list. But there's a lot of tough decisions that are going to be made. And these shared practices with the Giants are really going to help and determine who makes this squad and who doesn't. So I am all for it. I love that the NFL has done this. I believe they moved to this maybe a couple years ago. And, man, it just gets the juices flowing, right? When you're out there, you're always going to see some training camp pushing and shoving with your own team. But, man, when you get another team lining up against you and you want to just pound them into the ground or you want to move the ball on them, emotions are going to run high. There's going to be talk. There's going to be chatter. There's going to be some smack talk when you run the ball down the field. Dude, Jahmyr Gibbs has just been an absolute weapon. Man, this guy may be everything that we are hearing and getting hyped about. He had a nice, slick little TD grab. Guys, this is such a great time to see our rookies out there too, man. Brian Branch had a sack today. Great to see that. So, man, I love this time of year. I love these shared practices. I am so excited to see some real football, and this game is going to happen here on Thursday, and it's just going to be a blast. Yes, we're not going to see all the superstars. We're not going to see the first-team offense much, if at all, but this is going to be the time where we get to see who's going to make this roster, and is this defense going to be able to stand up to the other team's offense. Want to take a quick opportunity and shout out all our DKC Select subscribers. Guys, if you have not subscribed to DKC Select yet, you need to go and do that because we are bringing you bonus content. Each week, Derek or I post an additional pod that you get some access to. We're going to break down some other non-Lion stuff. We're going to do lots of Lion stuff. In the season, I fully expect that we're going to be releasing some content with that DKC Select that you're going to want to hear. And believe me, this is going to be a season that you want to grab and drink in as much Lions content as you possibly can. And the way to do that is to subscribe to DKC Select. The link will be in below. And if you can't figure out how to sign up, listen, DM me, tweet me, do whatever you got to do. I'll walk you through the whole process. But that subscription is growing, and we want to thank you for all those DKC Select members. And hey, actually just thank all the people, right? We love that you're listening. We love that you love your Lions. We're putting out these pods. We're getting great numbers each week. And this is the off season, people. Like, this is the off season, and we're getting some great love from the people. So, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to thank our sponsors. And on the back half of the show, we are going to have some great breakdown and some things you might want to listen to. We may be talking a little preseason game 1 breakdown. We may be talking about a little fantasy football, Detroit Koolaid flavor, if you know what I mean, at the second half. So drink it in, everybody. Listen to our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
All right, everybody. This goes out to my fantasy football fans out there. Now, you probably heard about Reality Sports Online, the most powerful fantasy sports platform where owners can build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? I mean, we're talking free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades. You can put franchise tags on guys. It's as close as you're going to get to being an NFL GM. But do you think it sounds complicated? It's not. I'm here to tell you it's the best thing about Reality Sports Online is it's just more fun than your normal fantasy league, but it doesn't take barely any more time. After all this, are you still not sure? I mean, come on now. You can test your general manager skills by going over to Reality Sports Online, call it RSO. Please go check out realitysportsonline.com right now.
Hey, Kool-Aid drinkers, we're back from the break. And again, just want to say a nice quick shout out. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our listeners. We really appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And hopefully you're loving all this content that we're putting out. We put a lot of time and effort into the show. And really at the end of the day, it's just a couple of guys who love football, love Lions, and but love doing what we do. So, like my buddy Okri likes to say, it's just two dudes talking football, hitting record, and loving on some Lions. So, woo! So what I want to get into now is preseason game 1. Lions football officially back Thursday, 7 p.m. at Ford Field. How exciting is that? I cannot wait to see them in their jerseys, to see them in the pads, to see them on TV. It's going to be great to have football back. Yeah, we had some non-Lion stuff last week, and it was good. It was great, but this is the next level now, and it's going to be happening this week. So very, very excited. And I think I said Thursday, but I actually meant Friday. So, but listen, so good to have Lions football back this week against the Giants. For all you betting fanatics, I think the Giants are a 3-point favorite. That's laughable. But hey, listen, if I was a betting man, I might bet the over. I might bet the Lions on that one. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Lots of things to look into here too, folks. This team is very different than what it was last year. Yes, we have the momentum finishing strong last year, but there's really a lot of things that I want to dive into, and the first question I'm going to pose to you is, what positions intrigue you, right? Like, what are some of these things that really make that you want to see, these battles you want to see out on the field, and for me, the big position of focus for me is going to be the secondary. We made some really, really big moves this offseason with all the additions, with Mosley and Sutton and CJ. That's my GJ. And the draft picks with Brian Branch. We just so many additions to this revamped secondary. They knew there was a big point of emphasis. They knew it was a weak point, and so they really revamped it. And I'm excited to see I'm excited to see the versatility and the variety of lineups that we're going to be able to put out there, because some of these guys can play multiple positions. You got Kerbo, you got Walker, and you got Branch, and you got CJ, GJ, and again, all are really safeties, but they're not going to always be playing safety positions. It's just going to be awesome to see how they move these guys around. It's going to confuse offenses. Let me tell you, folks, listen, there are going to be times where the quarterback is going to make a bad read, and there's going to be ball that is out there for my boy Kerbo to just sneak up there and grab, because that dude is a ball hawk. I expect a real big second year out of him. And so to me, it's the defense. It's the secondary. I really want to focus. I want to see what they do. Yeah, they probably won't see Daniel Jones very much. But I think it's going to be fun to kind of watch what they're able to do out there, and if they're going to really be able to shut that down, and then lock down the other quarterback. Because here's the thing, guys. When our secondary is top notch, it just makes the entire defense flow better, right? When the quarterback has to take that extra second to throw the ball, to make a good pass, to read a coverage, that's one more second that Hutch and Romeo and Charles and everybody else on that D-line has to get to the quarterback. So really, this has become a league. I know people say it's a passing league, and it is. But to me, it's if you've got a strong secondary, even if your pass rush is weak, you still open up so many opportunities if you're able to cover. So I'm very, very excited to see this group cover lots, to create a lot of turnovers, to make some big hits, some forced fumbles, to force some bad throws, to get some pass defenses, but really to see what they can do to then open it up for the big boys up front. Our D line, we got a lot of pieces up there too, man. It's, lots of things to look at. So. And another thing that might seem kind of obvious to people, but a position battle that's really going to intrigue me is our linebackers. We signed Anzalone to an extension. We still have Derek Barnes out there. We still, of course, have a year 2 of Rodrigo. But then you throw Jack Campbell in the mix. Guys, if the hype is real on this kid, and he's able to be a starter day one. Oh my gosh, he's such a difference maker, and I really believe that he's going to be the guy that we think he is. All the hype, obviously Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and Sheila Hamp were all excited to draft this guy in the first round, and he has lived up to the hype. The kid loves football. He's no nonsense. He's like very soft spoken, like when he's not, but then when he's off the field and he's talking and doing these interviews, he just loves football. He's dedicated. But dude, then you get him on the field and you're like, dude, this guy's a freak. This guy's an animal. He looks like he could body slam, choke slam, go toe to toe with Dan Campbell or some WWE superstar. Like, the guy is a monster in these pads. So if he is an ounce of what everyone thinks he's going to be, we're in for a real treat at that linebacker position. And I am here for it. And I touched it on it a little bit too, but man, I'm really excited to see our defensive front. And how are Aleem McNeil and Levi Onwuzurike going to fare out? Is this going to be the year that they step up? Oakley likes to call him Big Denim, and he's got 50 other nicknames for Aleem McNeil, Twinkle Toes, and yada yada yada. I won't dive into it. I think that's the one guy he doesn't put a big in front of. Anyway, Aleem McNeil, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see Broderick Martin. Right, we used a pretty big draft resource on him. People might be kind of sleeping on him a little bit, but this guy might be the real deal as well. I've seen some clips of him. He's looking good, and I'm excited to see what we got in there. Of course, you got the Kaminsky back. You got Josh Pascal up there. You got Big Bugs. And then, of course, you got Romeo. Wherefore have thou outbeen Romeo? You also have Julian. We don't know where they're going to fit in. So lots of pieces in the mix on the defensive front. And like I mentioned, guys, this defensive front is going to have just a couple more split seconds, because our secondary is going to be in a better spot. So that defensive front is going to have more time. They really shut down quads. I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do. Of course, we probably won't see quads on Friday, but it's going to be exciting to see what they are able to do in that run game. They really shut it down at the shared practice today. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be real fun. Also, I want to know who is going to be the next preseason Wonder Boy, a la Tom Kennedy. For all those who haven't heard me say this before, Tom Kennedy is our preseason Wonder Child, Wonder Boy. Who's going to be the next Tom Kennedy now that he's hurt? And I got a little prediction for you. I am hearing a lot of buzz a lot of buzz for this UDFA Dylan Drummond. The guy is making plays. He's out here making one-handed catches. I am really excited to see what he does in this game against the Giants. He's been tearing it up at camp. He might be the real deal, folks. And if he ends up being the real deal, then, you got to tip the cap to Brad Holmes and his scouting staff because they're able to find another diamond in the rough wide receiver. Very excited to see what Dylan Drummond can be. And again, I don't want. I know I mentioned and I said, is he going to be the next preseason Wonder Boy? I don't want him to just be the preseason Wonder Boy. I want him to ball out in the preseason, but then I want him to ball out in the regular season as well. So a lot of weapons, a lot of depth on that wide receiver list. But I'm curious, and I'm thinking that Dylan Drummond might be able to crack that top 6 and really get a roster spot. So I heard, and I'm not going to confirm this. I don't know how I feel about it, but I heard that Marvin Jones may not be a lock to make this roster, and that Dylan Drummond is coming for that spot. So you line up a group of Amon-Ra. Of course, we know hashtag JMOFast is suspended for this first 6 games. But you've got him, you've got Marvin Jones, you've got the Serpent, Josh Reynolds. Of course, you got my boy Raymond Khalif Raymond, whichever way. You got Denzel Mims, who I know he's battling a little bit of an injury right now. So that may open up another opening for Dylan Drummond. Of course, Trey Quinn is in the mix, just got signed to there. So lots of players getting rotated around. Of course, don't forget about our draft pick this year, Antoine Green. So lots of bodies, lots of people making some noise. But Dylan Drummond, folks, listen for that name. I'm excited to see him on the field with the pads on Friday. And I'm hoping that he can just do some fun things and really make some people wow. So last thing that I really want to dive into, folks, for today's show is I want to give you a little bit of fantasy football. Honolulu, Detroit Koolaid Blue flavored. Let's dive into some fantasy football takes for your Detroit Lions. And, the drafts are going. A lot of them, if you're in regular team drafts, they're going now. Some of our dynasty leagues, they've been going for a while. I just got pinged for like 2 more startup leagues that I'm going to be in. I always tell Derek no because I'm in so many leagues. So my other leagues that I'm in are starting to draft coming up soon. Those emails are coming out. People are getting excited. And I think that some people are going to be a little surprised by some of our Detroit Lions and how they're going to have some fantasy football impact. And of course, when I'm talking about the Detroit Lions and I'm talking about the Detroit Lions offense, the first name that I'm going to bring up is my boy, hashtag Goff Train, hashtag JG16, Jared Goff. Of course I'm going to talk Jared Goff. You knew I was going to talk Jared Goff. I wasn't going to let you down, people. So let's jump on the hashtag Goff train and talk about his fantasy football impact. So listen, right now on the most ESPN leagues and other leagues around, he is QB 18. I think this is blatant disrespect from my boy JG16 and where he is going to be and where he's going to finish this season. Last year, he finished as the 10th best fantasy football quarterback. I am taking Jared Goff in as many leagues as I can when those top-tier guys kind of come off the board super early. JG16 is sitting there ready for me to take in later rounds. I am doing it, and I am not thinking again about it. 4,400 yards last year, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. This guy did damn well in fantasy football. He won people leagues. He was just fine. I love that he is not turning the ball over. I love that he's getting yards. And he's got a lot of weapons, people. He's got a lot of weapons behind him. And you have to be if you are the conductor of that offense, you are going to rack up the stats. So I am pounding the over. Stop drafting Jared Goff at QB 18. Guys, this guy's a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football, and he's going to do it again this year in fantasy. So take him or leave him for me to take, either way. Of course, the other big name that when we're talking fantasy football, every Lions fan knows this, is my boy Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra finished last year as wide receiver 7 with 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. And I saw something on FanDuel the other day. The over-under for touchdowns for Amon-Ra is like 5.5 right now. Oh, I am pounding the over on 5.5 touchdowns for my boy Amon-Ra. I think he's right now ranked at around the wide receiver 8, and man, I might sneak him up into 6 or 7 if I'm really looking at the list. I think he's due to have another huge year. He's not going to have J-Mo to take catches and yards from him. Yes, we got a lot of weapons, but man, this guy, he just does. He puts in the work. He's out there catching balls every practice. He's out there doing the extra work. This guy is going to have another. I mean, every year we say another breakout season. This is going to be another breakout season. I think we're going to see the best we've seen from Amon-Ra. So I am hammering wide receiver 6 or 7 in fantasy football. If you can get him, get your hands on him, guys, because he's a PPR monster. Let's move on to our running backs, and we're going to start with the one who is I actually really like this rating for him. We're going to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. Right now, he's ranked as the 16th running back. Guys, I am expecting a lot of action on Jahmyr Gibbs. And if you're in a PPR league and you're looking for a wide receiver or a running back too, I don't even like to call him, the reason why I started to say wide receiver is because I don't see him as a running back. He's a weapon, okay? He's gonna fit right into your weapon spot because the dude's gonna catch the ball. I expect him to get 8 to 10 carries, and I expect him to get 4 to 6 looks and catches every game. I think that D-Money is gonna be the guy who's gonna pound the rock in the trenches, and we'll get into him a little bit next. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a hell of a fantasy season. He's the kind of guy who you probably, lots of people aren't thinking about, but he can win leagues for you. So Jahmyr Gibbs, straight up weapon. Nail him on the PPR because he's going to get it done for you. And again, I see a lot of yards. I'm going to double down. I keep doubling down on my prediction. Through 7 weeks, Jahmyr Gibbs will be the second leading receiver on this team behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. It will happen. The guy is going to be used a lot in the passing game. So absolutely, and yards after catch with this guy, people. Yards after, he loves the yak. So watch him, draft him. I like that slot, running back 16. I would gladly grab him in my second wide receiver spot in any league that I am in when it comes to fantasy football. And we touched on him a little bit here, but D-Money, running back 26 on ESPN leagues right about now. Last year finished about 24. 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think he had a little over 300 yards in receiving and 1 touchdown as well. I think he's pretty appropriately ranked here. He's the kind of guy that, you don't know what you're going to get because he's just got a straight up weapon in the backfield with him with Jahmyr Gibbs. But I think in the trenches, he's going to be the guy. I think when they need a tough yard, this is going to be the one. He's going to be the thunder to Jahmyr Gibbs' lightning. He's going to be the one that pounds the rock, and he is going to be the one that, he's not just going to bulldoze either, people. Like, this guy's got moves, okay? He's not just like only good to just pound the rock in the trenches. Like, the guy can get in the open field and he can really move too. So I like this ranking. Our running back 26. I think I had him at 23 or 24 for the season, but I'm not going to argue 2 spots for him. So be on the lookout for my boy D-Money in that spot. Last but not least, we have to talk about the tight end position and the absolute just disrespect that Sam Laporta is getting from the league when it comes to fantasy football. Right now, he's not even ranked in the top 25 on ESPN. And to me, that's criminal. You're telling me that 25 teams have a better tight end on their roster than Sam Laporta. Now, I know that some of that is because of the unknown. People who are not watching this team, they're not watching training camp, they're not paying attention, might be sleeping on this guy. But you, Lions fans, you should not sleep on Sam Laporta. Okay, I expect this guy to be a top 20 tight end, maybe even top 18. I think I had him looking at my ranks here. I have him at 18. Okay, this is a guy. JG16 is already building rapport with him. This is going to be the guy that they're going to rely on some tough yards with this guy. And he's got the ability to get the yak. He can go up and get catches. He can get open. He can make moves in the open field. This is not the same guy as TJ Hawkinson, and I know TJ Hawkinson has had some really great fantasy years, don't get me wrong, but this Sam Laporta guy is a little bit different, man, and I am all for it. So I think he's getting a bit disrespected because of the rookie factor, but I am looking for Sam Laporta to have a top 18 tight end finish. And so look, grab him as your second guy. Maybe he starts for you on a bye week. Maybe he gets you a game. You're in a pinch. You got an injury. It is not going to hurt you to have this guy on your roster and your fantasy squad to win some big games for you when you need it. The other one that I really want to talk about is the Detroit defense. I don't even know what they were ranked last year on the fantasy squad, but pretty much nobody had them rostered. Guys, don't make that mistake, okay? I'm not telling you they're going to be a top 10 fantasy defense, but they're going to have weeks where they really torture quarterbacks and they really torture offenses, okay? They are going to be high-flying. I envision lots of interceptions by that safety and secondary group. I envision lots of sacks by Unleash, Hutch, and Kaminsky, and Charles Harris, and Romeo. I expect there to be a lot of stats that are put up by this defense. So, I don't know if you're looking to draft them, if you're not looking to draft them, but don't sleep on them, okay? This defense is going to have a little bit of fantasy. They're going to be a nice bye week fill-in when you see once the season gets going. If you don't pick them up or someone doesn't pick them up as their second defense, you maybe should, because they could get you a nice win later in the season. Folks, we talked about so much. Listeners, wow, just a great week of football. Again, very happy to kind of be closing out the end of off-season Lions the same way that we ended, right? We went into Green Bay at the end of the season. We shut up the smuggest of the smug. Kirby Joseph became Aaron Rodgers' father and stamped his approval there, and we just kept them out of the playoffs. And now here we are, and football is back. We will be on the gridiron this week. Yes, it's preseason. I don't care. We're putting on the pads. We're going to see the officials. We're going to see all the great things that come with this beautiful, wonderful game. It is going to be fantastic. Friday, 7 p.m., Ford Field. I hope that some of you are getting a chance to get down there. I will not, but I think Derek is going to a preseason game this week, or this season. It's going to be awesome. And look, there's so much to be excited about. This is where it all comes together. All the moves that we've made in the offseason, all the rookies that we've drafted, all the free agents that we've signed. Drink it in, everybody. We are Trey Quinn days away from Thursday Night Football. That's 29 for any of you who don't know the roster. 29 days from Thursday Night Football against the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Get hyped. Be ready to go. Yes, it's preseason this week. In 29 days, we are going to be lining up against Patty Mahomes, against Travis Kelce, against that Super Bowl champion Chiefs defense. We are going to be ready to go. I'm looking at Goff versus Mahomes 2.0. Huge shootout. I'm expecting high-flying scores. We cannot wait. We are ready to go. We are here for it. Drink that in, everybody. Woo! Catch us next week right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Take care, everybody. I'm out.
Pack the bags, start the plane. This game is over. It is over.
What a comeback by the Lions!
Drink it in, man.